Did you know that in 2014, it was estimated that the total loss of domesticated honeybee hives in the United States was worth up to $2 billion? Bees are in dire need of our help right now, and they are dying at an alarming rate. The main reason that the bees are dying is mainly due to causes from global warming. There is a stretch of nearly 200 miles of historic wild range in the United States and Europe where we have lost bees in this area, and the rate is continuing to grow from here. Honeybees are dying for a number of different reasons, many of which are directly linked to global warming. We are now familiar with the term CCD, which is colony collapse disorder. Colony collapse disorder is the phenomenon that occurs when the majority of worker bees in a colony disappear, leaving behind the queen bee and a few other bees. However, the loss of the worker bees without them pollinating and having the beehive sustainable is not possible. There are many factors contributing to the loss of beehives, many of which are due to loss of habitat, disease, and malnutrition, but the two main factors as to why bees are dying are pesticides and parasites. The intense use of pesticides that our farmers have been using have an effect on the insects that attacks their central nervous system, which can result in paralysis and death. This has had a major role in the bees' decline. Honeybees, for their nutrition, collect pollen and nectar for the entire colony, which is converted to honey to feed the bee larvae. With their less natural sources for them to get food, it is harder for them to find food that it isn't contaminated, and the colony is not getting enough nutrients that it needs. The land that the bees are trying to get the food from are covered with chemicals and pesticides, making this unsafe for the bees to consume. The parasite, known as the Varromites, is responsible for many of the beehives' collapse. These mites have believed to come from the United States in the 80s from Asia, and they lay their eggs and they will end up feeding on the young and adult bees, which can lead to the bees losing their wings and legs and then fall ultimately death. Out of the 100 crop species that provide us with 90% of our food, 70% of these crops are pollinated by bees. The honeybees, which now contribute $14 billion of value to the U.S. crops. Bees are the primary initiators of reproduction among plants, as they transfer pollen from the male stamens to the female pistils. For my presentational aids, I have some pictures that I got, and okay. This is the first one. I know my camera sucks, so you might not be able. Okay, so this is the mystery of bees, and this is one of the pictures I found. Now I'll read off some of the things that it says. It says bees are disappearing and dying in large numbers and have been on the decline of population since the 90s. 80% of crops are pollinated by honeybees. Humans consume up to 285 million pounds of honey a year. So this is pretty much just saying, these are just like some facts about bees. It talks about the worker bees and the queen bees, which lay up to 600 to 800 eggs a day. Another presentational aid that I have is this picture, and it's Save the Bees. Bees, it says bees, why do we need them? We need bees to pollinate crops and flowers. Bees are responsible for most of the food on our plate. Why are they dying? Pesticides are the main culprit. Many of the lawn sprays that we use for unwanted bugs are actually worse than what farmers use on their own crops. There is also the issue of malnourishment and ill transportation of bees. What can we do to save them? Stop spraying chemicals in your yard. If you must use pesticides, read the instructions carefully. Use them at night to avoid disturbing hives and bees. So just be careful when you're spraying and where you're spraying. And then my third presentational aid that I have is just more facts about bees. It says a third of food in the world is dependent on pollination. A single hive can produce up to 400 pounds of honey. Bees are the only insect that produce food eaten by humans. And again, the leading causes of death are parasites, pesticides, malnutrition. And on here it says the total colony loss that we've had since 2016 is 44%. So, in other words, we are losing bees at a rate that is very alarming. And without bees, essentially, we don't have any food for us. Unless we take drastic measures to save the bees, our planet's survival is in doubt.